The glory days of Paladin are already a distant memory. A time when Secret Paladin cast a shadow over the meta, with the incredibly powerful synergies and Curve Stone at its finest. But the standard rotation tossed some of Paladin's key on-curve cards out of the pool. Most importantly, Shielded Minibot, Muster for Battle, even Avenge. And since then, Paladin has struggled to find a strongly relevant place. In the subsequent seasons, Paladin scraped by with different iterations of combo. It was especially relevant when it could target its matchups in a Conquest-like format. But even then, the combo itself was rather bland, unvaried, and predictable. Standard was hard on Paladin, and its post-standard popularity peaked at just 7%. And while Mean Streets touted a batch of new, seemingly powerful Paladin cards, since the set's release, Paladin has almost been completely irrelevant, currently sitting at an all-time low 2.4% of decks in Standard. Matchup win rates are equally doomsaying for Paladin, having strongly unfavored matchups all over the board. The hand buff Paladin archetype actually doesn't have a single matchup that's decently favored, while combo Paladin holds a few favorable matchups against Priest and Warlock only. Buff Paladin was the bulk of the conversation before the release of the set. It seemed impossible that beefing up your whole hand on turns 1 and 2 wouldn't pan out into something that many were expecting to be overpowered. But the win rates of Buff Paladin against our now settled meta's most prominent decks are bleak, sitting at 40% or less against Jade Druid, Reno Mage, Dragon Priest, Miracle Rogue, Aggro Shaman, Midrange Shaman, Reno Warlock, and Pirate Warrior. What we might conclude is that to this day, cards that sacrifice tempo in early turns with a return on value in later turns are still too slow to be viable, and maybe they might always be this way. Anyfin Paladin's win rates are not as oppressively bad as the other variant, but the 3 matchups in which it finds favor are with decks that do not hold the throne of the meta right now. More importantly, Mean Streets didn't add a whole lot of diversity to the Anyfin list. Card frequency spreads show some usage of Finja and Wicker Flame, but these are both one-of legendaries that can find some situational relevance here and there, but don't increase the overall consistency of the archetype. These aside, nothing about the list has changed. Paladin has been a slightly confused class in recent seasons, torn between all the different styles of play, and never leaning heavy enough in one direction to be really strong. In the recent Hearthstone Dev Q&A, Dean Ayala mentioned what he hopes Paladin will look like as an archetype.
Paladin has, 2 different things that we sort of go for. They're very good at healing. They have cards like Ragnar's Lightlord and Forbidden Healing, and cards that we continue to make where they can get to later stages of the game fairly easily, or easier than other classes can. And also they have their hero power, which is summon a Silver Hand Recruit. So in general, we've had a lot of different Paladin decks that either go very long game and use stuff like Equality and Consecrate and heal and sort of survive until they can play some of these giant minions like Tyrion and Ragnar's Lightlord. Or we have another version of Paladin decks that's I summon all of my Silver Hand Recruits, and then I go to battle with these tiny guys and buffs. And so I think with Paladin we do more buffs than we do in any other class. Cards like Blessing of Kings and cards like that are cards that you're likely to see in sets going forward. So cards that synergize with if I am buffed, maybe I am better than the average card being buffed. Cards that synergize with cards like Blessing of King, and just more later game cards that help Paladin heal. So I think that when Reno rotates out specifically, Paladin will be one of the classes that's going to be the best at healing again. So I think that there's a lot of room for Paladin to be very successful when that comes around. And also, I think in the future that we'll continue to do stuff that deal with Silver Hand Recruits, deal with buffing, and also deal with healing. And that's sort of the identity for Paladin.
While these playstyle aspirations and visions for Paladin make sense and seem promising, many weeks into our now settled meta, it appears that it may take the next expansion, a new set of balances, or possibly even the next standard rotation for Paladin to find its faith in the light again.
Put your faith in the light.